and welcome back to my channel. I am the Electrified Latina, and today we're going to be talking about a very controversial topic in the e-bike industry, and that is the two different motors, mid-drive motor and a rear hub motor. We're going to be talking about the differences between the two of them and which one is best for you. You'll have to wait till the end of the video to find out which motor is best, but I'm here to help you decide which motor is better suited for you and your particular use case. But before we dive in, let's roll the intro. Now let's talk about hub motors. They have been around for a very long time, and it's probably the most common and familiar looking electric bike motor that you've ever seen. So the hub motor, like the name says, it's located right here in the middle of your rear tire. So this large black part in the middle is the motor. In this design, the motor drives the wheel directly, so the rotational force originates right here in the hub. Let me show you what I mean. Demonstration. I'm going to hit the throttle, okay? So I'm going to lift this a little bit, and notice that when the rear wheel spins, the chain is sitting still. Hub motors work completely independently from the standard bike components that you use when you pedal. Then the hub motor does not go through the drivetrain, meaning the motor is directly attached to the ground. Motor, tire, ground. So whatever gear you're in, it doesn't really matter to the motor. Whether you're high or low in your gears, the motor doesn't care. The nature of a hub drive motor is that it's very easy to use. So if you're new to e-bikes, or you just don't want to think about changing gears, then the hub motor would be the right one for you. So we can compare a hub motor to riding a automatic transmission car. There is no gearbox, only a single speed ratio. Now let's talk about mid-drive motors. On a mid-drive motor, the motor goes through the drivetrain. So the crank, the pedals, the chain, and the derailleur. It also puts a lot of stress on the whole drivetrain, on the gearing. But if you know how to shift, it'll be like the way it's gonna last the longest. But the mid-drive motor has the advantage of gearing. So you're going to be applying power with your pedaling, and then you can shift your gears, and that's the advantage for the most efficient and powerful riding. A mid-drive motor is located inside the frame in the middle, like you can see here, and it's going to be in between your crank arms. Now, let me demonstrate how a mid-drive motor works. I'm gonna lift the rear tire again, and I'm gonna twist the throttle. Okay guys, so see how the chain is moving? The chain, the pedals, the cranks, like everything is in action. This is the huge difference between this type of motor and the other one. It also feels way more powerful. As far as performance goes, a mid-drive motor is gonna blow the hub motor right out of the water. Now let me tell you about the advantages of a hub motor drive. So, maintenance. These motors are going to be easier to maintain. They have a lot less pieces to deal with, and it's going to be more sealed than your mid-drive motor. Another advantage is cost. So hub motors are going to be about half the price of mid-drive motors. Also, ease of use. Guys, so like I said earlier, if you don't want to be thinking about changing your gears, not messing up your chain, I mean, you can snap a chain or things like that. For ease of use, the hub motor wins. It's also a very easy learning curve. if you haven't driven a bike before and stuff, the mid-drives require a lot more of a learning curve. Another advantage of the hub motors is the throttle. So if you're gonna be starting on a hill, if you're on a heavy cargo bike, just like starting with a throttle, and you know, it's just fun to be throttling. With a mid-drive, it's not so good for your drivetrain to be throttling. It's best to pedal. All right, now there are also disadvantages of hub motors. The first one is that the motor is usually going to be heavier than your mid-drive. Also, the position that it's in, like down in your rear wheel, it's heavy, right? So it's gonna be like 10 pounds that are gonna be dragging you on the rear wheel. The position on the mid-drives it's a lot better because it's low, so it gives you that a more stable, low center of gravity. The other disadvantage to a hub motor, well, it's gonna be a little bit less powerful too. More disadvantages of hub motors are jerky operation. So, you know, whether you're using your pedal assist or your throttle, it can take, I don't know, there can be a lag with the cadence sensors that some hub motors use. The other disadvantage is that you can be tempted to use your throttle a lot more than pedaling, so you can get less exercise too. And finally, if you get a flat on your rear wheel, it's going to be a lot harder to change the tire than on a mid-drive. Now, let's talk about the advantages of a mid-drive motor. Weight. A typical mid-drive motor is going to weigh between 4 to 6 pounds, and a hub drive, it's going to be between 6 to 8 pounds. Now, smoothness and ride quality. The mid-drive is the winner here because it's going to work. The motor is going to work with your, oh my God, it's very powerful, guys. It's going to work with your pedals. So you're going to work together, the gearing and everything. You're not gonna have that jerkiness that you can have with hub motors. Then the mid-drive is super powerful. So if you want big torque for climbing and big top speeds, go for a mid-drive. So let's compare a 750 watt motor on a mid-drive. Let's talk about the hub motor first. So a 750 watt hub motor, you're gonna get like 80 Newton meters of torque, while in a similar size motor on a mid-drive, you're going to get around 120 Newton meters. Range and efficiency. Mid-drive is the winner because you have the advantage of using the gearing. So the motor is going to be operating at its most efficient range. With a hub drive, the motor is just spinning wildly, so it's producing a lot of heat and wasteful energy, like when you're going up a hill. The other advantage is exercise. With a mid-drive, even if you have a throttle, it's best for the motor to use pedal assist. Cons of a mid-drive, number one, it can be very hard on your drivetrain. So the bicycle components are made for human power only, meaning the pedals, the crank, the cassette, and the derailleur. But if you multiply that by 3 or 4 times, which is the power that you're gonna get with pedal assist, you can snap your chain. Now, if you learn how to properly ride your mid-drive, then your parts can last you a lot longer. Number 2, it's not ideal to have a throttle, because even if your e-bike, mid-drive e-bike does, it's best if you pedal, because the motor still has to go through the gearing in the back. So right, the chain is still going to be moving. So, and then the other con or disadvantage is that it can be a steep learning curve with a mid-drive, because you have to learn in what gear you need to be in for specific conditions. So like with accelerating, it's a specific gear. Now if you're gonna come to a stop, you have to change the gear again. If you're going on a hill, and then while you're going up the gears to know how to be adjusting the load. But guys, don't worry, I'm gonna have a video coming soon. It's going to be a full tutorial on how to drive a mid-drive e-bike motor so that you don't damage your drivetrain. So which motor should you get? If you're into performance and you're confident on a bike, go mid-drive, because it's going to feel a lot more natural, because the center of gravity is going to be much lower and in a center position, while with the hub, it's just going to be this heavy thing on your rear wheel. But if you haven't driven a bike in a long time, or just learning to ride on an e-bike, you're not even going to notice that difference in weights and distribution. If you live in a very hilly area, go mid-drive. But if you just want the ease of use, not a steep curve, and if you just want to throttle around, go hub motor. Ease of use, it's simpler, it's cheaper. But if you want a natural feeling of pedaling, maybe you have a cycling background, you want to get the most exercise motor, get a hub drive. So guys, the two different motors are going to be ideal for different situations depending on what you need and want. I hope this was helpful for you to decide what your next motor should be. Guys, whatever motor you pick, you're not going to regret your decision. They're still e-bikes, they're still amazing, they're still so much fun. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the links below. Lots more content coming. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And whatever you're doing, happy riding!